Thomas Moore. He comes to Toastmasters as a newbie, and he's only been on the scene for 1 year. But in this short time, he has learned so much. He is passionate about mathematics and all things Toastmasters. And today, he is here to link the two passions together and share with us what he has learned from Toastmasters over the last 12 months. Please welcome to the stage, Thomas Moore with Hidden Figures.
Thank you very much. Cheers, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before I get started, I'd just like to get an idea for who we have in the room. So could I please get you to raise your hand if you loved maths at high school? Oh, wow, great, we've got a few. Can I get you to raise your hand if you didn't like maths at high school? Well, it's going to be a fun session for you guys, isn't it? You've gone, all right, let's sign up to Toastmasters. Yeah, it's going to be great. All right, now let's go to this workshop, and we're going to learn all about leadership, and we're going to learn about public speaking. Yeah, that's going to be brilliant too. And now it's time for me to address the elephant in the room, and that is today we're going to be doing some maths. Everyone will be doing some maths. Now, why is that? It's because my name is Tom Moore, and I am a maths teacher. It's actually funny because that's kind of the reaction that I expected. It's not often that you get people that really get excited when you're a maths teacher. I have had a few people just out there before, so thank you for doing that for me. It really pumped me up before I came in. But I'd like you to just come with me on a journey for a second, because imagine you're on a date and things are going really, really well. You're connecting with the person. You've got lots in common. Then all of a sudden, they ask the dreaded question. What do you do for a living? Now, I don't know about you, but I could come up with 100 jobs that are sexier than being a maths teacher. For example, fireman, police officer, like any trade, actually, maybe not plumbing, but I know this because the reaction that I generally get when I do tell people that I'm a maths teacher is one where their words are wrapped in caution. They'll say things like, I'm not a maths person. I was never any good at maths. I can't do maths. And this breaks my heart. And it breaks my heart not for a reason that you're probably thinking. In fact, there's something really sad that's happening in the planet right now. And we all know about the Sumatran elephants. We all know about the rhinoceroses and also the orangutans. But no one's talking about these creatures. They're the maths fairy. See, you laugh, and this is serious, because every time someone says one of these three things, a maths fairy drops dead. I know. And back when Pythagoras, Galileo, and Sir Isaac Newton walked the planet, these maths fairies, they were in abundance. But unfortunately, over the last few decades, they've become almost extinct, to the point where I don't believe most people had heard of them up until today, which is really sad. So the reason I bring this up for you guys is, whilst we do maths today, please, if you are one of these people who has said one of these things before or believes this to be true about yourself, please put these beliefs aside. Because today I'm going to talk about, as we mentioned before, I'm going to talk about the things that I've learnt from Toastmasters over the past 12 months. But we're going to do that through playing with maths, because I believe that when we play with maths, we can find a passion for it. We can enjoy it. So today is all about play. So, are we ready? Yes. Shall we play? Yes. Then let's play. Now, to do this, I'm just going to grab one of these. I do need a 2-digit number that's greater than 45 from someone in the audience. Anyone? Wow, all right, all at once. I didn't expect that. You had your hand up. What would you like to go with? 64, fantastic. I'll write that one down. Thank you very much. All right, Liz, I'm going to get you, please. When I say go, can you please press the big button? All right, and then when I say stop, I need you to press the big button again for me. All good with that? Now, I know there is big pressure. All right, so when I say go, you're going to do that, and then just press it stop when I say stop. All right, now, what I need from everyone else is this here is a timer, and at 10 seconds, you're going to yell out 10, but I'm going to let you know my record is 37.2 seconds. I'm going to break this record here for you today. So at 10 seconds, I need everyone to give me a big loud 10. Louder next time. So if at 20 seconds, you're going to give me a big loud 20. That's perfect. At 30? 30. And at 40? 40. Come on, guys. I said I'm going to beat my record. Work with me here, all right? So we're going to go, I'm going to try and beat 37.2 seconds. All right. Are we ready? Set, go. Stop! Oh, what was it? 20.9 seconds. That was my record. Woo! Oh, you want to know what I did? Oh, I just thought you'd be happy for me. I didn't do that much. I just went through and I said 11 plus 14 was equal to 25, plus 5 is equal to 30, plus 34 was 64. I went 4 plus 35 is 39, plus 10 is equal to 49, plus 15 is equal to 64. 36 plus 7 was equal to 43, plus 12 is equal to 55, thank you, plus 9 is equal to 64. It's a lot more pressure when I'm saying it out loud. And 13 plus 8 is 21, plus 6 is 27, plus 37 is equal to 64. Oh, thanks. Sorry, I'm just looking here, and there's a couple of people going, "Oh, that's not that great." But I wonder if the columns are adding up. Well, let me show you. 11 plus 4 is equal to 15, plus 13 is equal to 28, plus 36 is equal to 64. 14 plus 7 is equal to 21, plus 8 is 29, plus 35 is equal to 64. I went 5 plus 10 is 15, plus 12 is 27, plus 37 is equal to 64. I went 34 plus 9 is, actually I'll go 34 plus 6 is equal to 40, plus 9 is equal to 49, plus 15 is 64. Thank you. And now people are going, how about them diagonals, yeah? Let's have a look. 11 plus 35 is equal to 46, plus 12 is equal to 58, plus 6 is equal to 54. I went 34 plus 10 is equal to 44, plus 7 is equal to 51, plus 13 is equal to 64. But I didn't just stop there. In fact, I made sure that I went that little bit further because I knew you were going to ask those questions. So I went 11 plus 34 is equal to 45, plus 13 is equal to 58, plus 6 is equal to 54. But I knew that you guys have come all the way from different places around Australia. We've come from Tasmania, Victoria, South Australia. We've got people from other sides of the world. So I actually went through and I made sure that I went 11 plus 14 is equal to 25, plus 5 is equal to 29, plus 35 is equal to 64. I went 14 plus 5 is equal to 19, plus 10 is equal to 29, plus 35 is equal to 64. I went 5 plus 10 is 15, plus 15 is equal to 30, plus 34 is equal to 64. I went 35 plus 10 is equal to 45, plus 7 is equal to 52, plus 12 is equal to 64. I went 13 plus 36 is equal to 49, plus 7 is equal to 50. You get the idea. Yes! Thank you. Now, how many of you people have clapped when you've seen someone do maths before? A couple of people? Fantastic. And I just had Liz say, "You're amazing." I'm going to have to do that all the time. Thank you so much. The thing is, I don't believe it's necessarily the content, though, that you're clapping for. I went through and I made sure that I built up to that. It's the presentation that matters. And there was a number of presentation decisions that I went through and made when delivering that. The first presentation decision was I could have gone up and I could have just said, "Hey guys," and we've all been in a maths class where this has happened before. "Hey guys, we're just going to do some math sums today. We're going to do 11 plus 14 is equal to 25. Like, we've been in that kind of class before. Instead, the first thing I did was I set myself a challenge. You guys all knew that I was trying to beat 37.2 seconds. There was something in it, something you wanted to see me succeed. Then I gave every single person the job that was to call out after 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, building up the suspense. It's kind of like me versus you in some way, see if we could actually get there. At that point, once we finished that, I then made sure as I came over here that we still didn't see what was actually happening, to the point where people were begging me to know what I'd actually just done. When I finally revealed it, I worked along and I showed you how it worked, but then some people still weren't overly impressed. They wanted to know, well, what about those columns? So I read people's minds, what about those columns? And then I could see as well, people still wanted to know, how about those diagonals? And at that point, people would have been probably happy. But I made sure that I took it that little bit further so we could then go, oh, that's amazing. And that is what I'm talking about when it comes to maths. Unfortunately, so often in schools, we're not presented maths in a way that really enthuses people. We can be. There are millions of brilliant maths teachers out there, don't get me wrong. But we've all had that experience. We've been sitting in the classroom, we haven't been engaged. And it's not just maths, it's anything that we present. And so this is the first lesson that I've got from Toastmasters, which is presentation matters. You can have your content, but you've got to think about how you're going to deliver it as well. And I talk about the maths classroom as well. Unfortunately, maths classrooms don't operate like mathematicians do. Here's one of my favourite quotes. Books are to reading as players to mathematics. Books are to reading as players to mathematics. Mathematicians, when they get a problem, they don't just go through and do a whole range of questions from a textbook. They'll go through, they'll get a problem, they'll play with it. They'll try and make sense with it. They'll build on it with different people, and they'll try and develop a model that will work. That's what mathematicians do. That's what we need to be doing in our classrooms. When we're working with our kids at home, try and play with maths with them to get them engaged. Presentation matters. So that's my first lesson. My second lesson today, we'll have a look at that in a second. But I guess I've got to ask the question once again. Are we ready to play? Yes. Awesome. So let's play. What I'll need you to do, just for now, is to imagine the perfect rectangle. Not something that's too skinny like this one, or something that's too square like this one. You know, the perfect rectangle. In a second, you've got your little packets that you will have seen there. If you don't have one, there'll be some up the front, so just get people to pass them back. You'll see that there is a pencil, or you can do it on your notepad if you like, but you're going to draw out, and I'll just get your attention up this way for a second. You're going to draw out your idea of the perfect rectangle. You'll notice in that little bag as well, there is a ruler that's my business card. I'm not promoting it or anything along those lines, but you need the ruler, it's cheaper. Give me a call. No, so then what I'll need you to do is measure your rectangle, the longest side, write down what the longest side is in millimetres or centimetres to the closest decimal place. Then write down the shortest side. Then what you're going to do is you're going to do the longest side divided by the shortest side. So this is the important part. You do the longest side divided by the shortest side. Get your phone out. You can use your calculator on your phone to do that. All right? And just write that in the middle. So that's your rectangle ratio. So that is draw out the rectangle, measure the sides, longest side divided by the shortest side, and write it in the middle. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. All right. Here's where it gets interesting. Everyone's gone out and they've drawn out their rectangles. They've calculated their rectangle ratio by doing the longest side divided by the shortest side, and they've put it in. Now, unfortunately, I can't do this for everyone's rectangle, but this is what will happen. If I was to get every single person's rectangle in this room and get all of their ratios, that is the number that they've written in there, if I was to do the average of those, we will come out with a number that would be close to 1.618. Did anyone get close to that? Yes. Awesome. All right. Now, you may be thinking, whoop-dee-doo, what's so special about that number? That number has got a very special name. It's called the golden ratio. Now, you may have heard of the golden ratio, and what you may not know is that it's actually hidden everywhere. You will walk past it in most examples, and you might not even know that it exists. The golden ratio is believed to be the underlying mathematics of what makes things beautiful. Look at this rectangle, for example. That is a perfect rectangle. Look at it, isn't it gorgeous? Yeah? How about now? All right? So The golden ratio is in a range of different things. For example, it's in architecture. Oh, sorry, actually, I'll come back to that, sorry. So if I get one of these perfect little rectangles, and that's a smaller version of it, then if I get the longer side of this perfect little rectangle, and it becomes now the shorter side of a larger rectangle. So you can see here, the larger rectangle is a bit that goes around both rectangles. Is that making sense? I then get the longer side of this rectangle, and it becomes the shorter side of the next rectangle. Following what I'm saying here? Yep, longer side becomes the shorter side, longer side becomes the shorter side, over and over again, until I get to this. Now, if I get a line and I draw it around, I follow it around, I get something that looks like this. Now, you may have seen this before. Maybe you don't realize that you've seen it, but it is in a range of different things. For example, it's in architecture, famous architecture. It's in famous art. It's in logos. Different phenomena, like different, what's it called? Yeah, different phenomena. There's different things that will happen around the world. So cyclones, also things like shells and things like that. So natural phenomena. That's the word I was looking for before. Now, say what you want about Donald Trump, but maybe there is a little bit more going on there, and maybe not too. In fact, it is said that people who are really, really attractive are more likely to have the golden ratio hidden within their face. Like, I can see many attractive people in here today. Thank you. How you doing, the girl up in the orange thing? All right. But that's not what I'm interested in. What I am very interested in is the sunflower, because this sunflower has the golden ratio within it too. Sunflowers work like this. We've got the stem, we've got the petals, we all know about that. We've also got these little disc florets that are on the inside of the sunflower. That's the middle part. And what happens is a disc floret will grow from the very center. Then a new disc floret will grow and it will push that disc floret out. Does that make sense? Then the new one will grow and it'll push the disc floret out again. So you'll get something that looks like this. If we go through it, we'll have it grows, it pushes it out. And each time the new disc floret pushes an old one out at a rotation of 25%. So it's a quarter turn. All right, so we're getting the idea. Now, if I went and changed that to 20%, that is, I'm rotating around 1/5 of a turn, I get something that looks like this. Every time a new disc floret comes, it pushes them out again and again like that. But what happens if I don't rotate it around something that goes into 100% perfectly? What happens if I rotate around something like 17%? Well, I get this. And here's the amazing thing. The golden ratio. Well, we know it's 1.618. If I have a look at that in terms of a percentage, that'd be roughly 162%. If I rotate each disc floret around 162%, I'll get something that looks like this. Look familiar? Now, it was at this point when I was reading about this, I love this, all these noises about maths, it's so good. So, it was at this point when I was reading about this that I actually came to think, what happens if those blue dots weren't actually disc florets? What if they were people? What if they were people? We all know leadership structures that look like the one on the left, where you've got the leader at the top, they tell the people who are working directly under them, and then it just gets filtered down. Another way of looking at that might be the leaders at the centre of the organisation. You then have people who then they report to them, and then they filter the message out to their little minions, for lack of a better word. But what about if leadership looked like this? That was a question that was going through my mind as I was reading this book. And then that made me realise, wait a second, lesson number 2. I have actually experienced leadership like this. You see, imagine here, you've got your circle, this is our club. And I've only been here for 12 months. And that's probably what made me think of it so recently, is because when I walked into Toastmasters for the very first time, the very first thing that happens is the Sergeant at Arms comes up, introduces themselves. You feel welcome from the very beginning. At that point, I was the smallest dot in that circle. It doesn't take long for them to then introduce me to someone else who is then telling me how Toastmasters works and what it is. At that point, my growth journey has begun. Within about 3 meetings, I'm then doing that for someone else. So I've already grown, I've already become that bigger dot, and I'm helping someone else to start their journey too. The larger dots inside that red circle, well, they're the people who have been long-term members. They're the people who are on the committee, who help to make sure that everything runs. But the whole time, it's about helping the smaller dots to continue to grow, the people who are earlier on in their growth journey. Now, I know that my club at Frankston isn't unique. I know that all of our clubs are like that. So you could represent all the different clubs with lots of different circles, all with the same idea at mind. But then, of course, beyond that, well, all the people who are in the club officer roles, they need support too, don't they? So we've got our area directors, who are just that little bit further along, who are there to support the club officers, who are there to support the new members in their growth journey. Now, of course, if you're in a club and you're at one of the larger ones, then maybe you could step up and become an area director and continue that growth. Obviously, beyond there, we've got our division directors and then district directors, and we know what happens from there. There are 3 key differences between the leadership structures that you can see on the left and on the right. The one on the left, the CEO or the person, the leader, is in the centre, whereas the one on the right, the leaders are the people on the outside, essentially protecting and helping and nurturing the ones on the inside so that they can continue to grow. The one on the left, this is an important thing because you can see the one on the left, they've all got, it's quite linear. Whereas the one on the right, you've got 4 or 5 people around there willing to support you at any given time. And that brings me to the last difference, which is the one on the left, all the dots are the same size, implying that there's not too much growth that's happening. The one on the right, you actually see the growth journey that happens. And the growth doesn't come from doing speeches or doing things like that. The growth comes from supporting other people in their journey. That's where the real growth comes from. Through watching them, through listening to them and helping them, that's how we grow. So I looked up Toastmasters' structure of leadership, and this is what I came across. It was just something on the web. I probably nicked it. I probably should have put up the little credits for it, but it's from Toastmasters. Now, I like that. I think it's quite similar to what I was just talking about, but once again, it's linear. And I really believe that Toastmasters leadership isn't just linear. In fact, there's something far more golden hidden underneath. So lesson 2 was all about leadership. The third lesson, I'm going to show you a little magic trick. Now, before I started, actually I'm just going to have to, here we go, let's hope this works. Trying something new here, always a great idea to do that, isn't it? Bear with me a second. All right, that should work. Hey, winner. So what I did was before we started, I asked Liz Orwood if she could choose 21 of her favourite cards. Now, did I tell you anything to do with this, Liz, other than just choose 21 of your favourite cards? Nope? Okay. Now, what I'll get someone to do, please, what was your name, Cleo? Yeah. Can I get you please to come up? Cleo, what you're going to do is you're going to go through and choose one of those cards, and then you're going to place it under here. Look, it's magic. Hey, how about that? All right, so you're going to come now. You look at the card. You're going to choose it. So you can flip it over any card you like, and you're going to place it under here. I'm going to come over here so I cannot see, and everyone needs to see that card. Is that clear? Is it a good card? Yeah. Ooh. All right, are we all good? Can I turn around? All right, now place that card back into the pile wherever you like. Okay. Yep. So that I can't tell which card it is. You all good? Yep. Awesome. Now I'm going to come around. Thank you very much. Can everyone give Cleo a round of applause for helping me out? Thank you. Have a seat. Now, you may have seen this trick before, maybe you haven't, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cards down. I'm going to do that one by one into 3 piles. Keep track of which pile the card ends up in, all right? But don't tell me when you see it, because that's going to give it away. So wait until the very end, and then you're going to tell me which pile it lands up in at the very end. Are we following that? Cool. So I'm going to go 1. Let me know if it's going too fast and not keeping up. All right, which pile was it in? Number 2. I'm going to do this 3 more times. Which pile? 3, okay. Let's move that one out. Which pile? 1, okay. Which pile? 2. We'll do one more just for good measure. Which pile? 2. Okay. So I'm going to pick these up again. And I'll put these out. Oh, has it? Okay. It's all right? Okay. Now, I'm going to get you guys to choose a pile for me. What was your name? So, Sunny? Sunny, could I get you, please, to choose either top or bottom for me? You're going to choose top? Fantastic. Get rid of those. Okay. Could I go left or right, Lisa? Left? Fantastic. We'll get rid of the right. Okay, we'll go left or right. Right, fantastic, we'll get rid of those. Okay, now I've got 1 card on my nose, 1 in my right hand, and 1 on my left hand. Which card would you like to choose? The one in the middle, the one on the nose? Well, it just so happens that that was your card. So some of you may have realised what was happening there, some of you may not. I'll go through and I'll explain. The third lesson that I've learnt through doing this actually came as I was preparing for this speech, because I actually asked a couple of people, is there any feedback or any ideas that I could have in order to make this workshop more engaging for everyone? And they said, make sure you include audience participation. Now, I read a book recently called The Power Talk System, and it's all about public speaking and how to improve. But they mentioned audience participation as being something that can be quite daunting for some people, because as soon as you get the audience involved, then you don't know where it's necessarily going to go at times. And they talk about the importance of structure and having structured questions. Now, I don't want this to come across as manipulative, it's just to emphasise a point. Unfortunately, you guys had no choice in anything there, all right? I'll show you what I mean. First of all, the mathematics. I could have chosen any single card that I like. So for example, I might choose the 7 of spades. And then I can put it anywhere I like in there. So here, I go I flip it over, and we remember 7 of spades, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll try and go through nice and quick. Remember which one it comes into. Now the thing is, there's 21 cards in here, as I mentioned before. 7 of spades ends up over here. my whole aim is to make sure that the 7 of spades ends up as the middle card, all right, what we call the median in mathematics. So I always pick up the one with the 7 of spades in second. And I do that over and over again. You understand what I'm saying? You don't need me to go through and do all that? You're happy with that? Eventually, I know that the 7 of spades is the 11th card. Yep. I make sure I count out, and I put all of these in different piles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 was the 7 of spades. I just put them out here. It doesn't really matter on what happened there. I was actually almost worried that I stuffed up before, but I didn't. And then what I do is I give you guys a choice. But you don't have a choice, did you? Did anyone realise that? Yep. So I say top or bottom, and you say top, I get rid of the top. I always know where my card is. Yep. Until I get to the very last point where I've got my 7 of spades, and you know what? Every single time people will go the one on the nose. I don't know what it is. So, and even if you didn't, I was just going to get rid of it anyway. So the third lesson that I've got from Toastmasters is think about your audience when you come up with a presentation or a workshop. They're the people that you're delivering to. So tailor it for them. If you can, try and build in audience participation. So let me just get out of this one as well. Lesson 4, last one. Last time, are we ready to play? Yes. Awesome. So what we're going to do is we are going to play with a puzzle. And you'll see those little pieces in there that you can see there. Now, your challenge in a second will be to create 2 different regular polygons. Now, what's a regular polygon, you might ask? A regular polygon is a shape, a 2D shape that has a name. For example, all of those are regular polygons. A hexagon is a regular polygon. A kite is a regular polygon. It's if we can look at that shape and all agree on the name of it, it is a regular polygon. These shapes here, they're not regular polygons. All right, we all good with that? So we are aiming for maybe some of these shapes, maybe something different. Try and play around with it. I'll give you probably 4 minutes or so, 4 or 5 minutes to have a play and see how you go. So good. Now, put your hand up if you manage to find one of those puzzles. Congratulations. Leave your hand up if you manage to find both shapes. Congratulations. Well done. Now, don't say what the shapes were. Leave that for other people. And I'm saying this deliberately. I'm not going to tell you what the shape was. I'm going to leave that for you to go home and to play with yourself. Yeah, I know. How cruel, hey? But the reason is the reason is I can't, sorry. The reason is I really want to emphasize the 4th lesson that I've got from Toastmasters over the past 12 months. And this is to say, yes, I can. I'm going to do that through introducing you to a concept called the learning dip. It looks really sophisticated, doesn't it? Now, the learning dip, how it works, you've actually probably all experienced this. In fact, I guarantee you that you've experienced it. I went down to the beach today as I was freaking out about this workshop, and I went down and I saw a kid who was no more than probably 2 years old experience this learning dip today. And how it works is this. You'll be strolling along through life, and then all of a sudden, a challenge will come your way. It's at this point in time that you'll be left with 2 questions. Do you take the challenge on, or do you choose to ignore it and just leave it as it is? Now, if you choose to ignore the challenge, then we'll never grow, especially if you always choose to ignore the challenge. You'll never progress. You'll just continue walking along in that straight path. And based on the fact that this is a Toastmasters conference, I don't think that we're the kind of people that ignore challenges. I think that we're all here to become better. So that's the first option. The other option is to take the challenge on. Now, we know when we take a challenge on that it can be daunting. We don't know what's going to happen. So we then end up taking the leap of faith. And in doing this, we really invest fully in the challenge or in the problem. For example, you've got that wooden puzzle. That was a challenge that you were faced with. And I love the fact that every single person, whether you thought you're a maths person or not, you didn't kill a maths fairy. You all went on and you did it and you kept them alive. So thank you for that. At this point in time, as I said, you take the leap of faith. Now, initially, you might stumble, you might fall, you might make mistakes, you could come out with a bit of a bruised ego. And then you've got a choice once again. Muhammad Khatani put it nicely when he went like that. You've got two choices. Do you give up or do you continue to go? And this is what I loved when I saw this kid today. He was scooting along and he was all happy. And then all of a sudden he fell off his scooter, but he did it in the most comical way. And I felt sorry for him, don't get me wrong, but he did it in the most comical way. He landed with his body on the scooter and the scooter continued to go along as he's going down the hill. And of course, the tears started. And the dad was amazing too. He just came along and scooped the kid up before he actually hurt himself properly, before he hit the concrete at the bottom. It was incredible. And the kid cried for a couple of seconds and the parents said, "Hey mate, come on, you'll be right." And then within about 5-10 seconds, he was off scooting again. So he chose to continue. At 2 years old, he chose to continue and take the challenge on. So you've got those two choices. Now initially, as actually Muhammad Khatani said yesterday as well, when you're at rock bottom, the only way is up. So initially, you're going to make slow progress. And that's okay. It's progress. But over time, you'll start to be able to do things that you didn't know were possible. You'll really start to make a change and you'll start to progress a lot faster. And this is the thing I loved about this as well, and as I walked around, was it's also important that we ask for help when we're struggling. And I saw a number of people do that. They said, "Hey, I know what shape to make. Let me help you out with that," which was just really nice. Also though, remember, it's best not to tell. It's best to maybe give some advice, like maybe share the shape that it might have been and let them try and figure it out too. If we tell them, we take away that fun, the joy of actually being successful at the very end. And that brings us to the last point, where if you have a look at the learning dip, the very beginning is a little bit lower than the bit at the end. When you finally get to that bit at the end, that's where you feel success. That's the joy of knowing that you've actually gone along and you've grown and you've done something that at first you might not have thought was possible. So lesson 4 that I've got from Toastmasters over the past 12 months is to say, yes, I can. A perfect example of that is after 3 meetings, we had our club officer elections. Now, it came around and they said, "All right, does anyone want to be VP PR, Vice President of Public Relations?" Now, at the time, I actually didn't know what PR stood for. Let's think about this, for example. A lot of people said they didn't like maths. Maths teachers are probably pretty bad if they can't get their students to like maths. PR is probably not their thing, right? But I said, all right, well, let's do this. I'll become VP PR. And over the last 12 months, there's been many times where I've thought, I can't do this. I've forgotten things. I've missed things. And I've wanted to give up. In fact, as recently as about 3 months ago, I thought, I'm just not doing this job justice. I need to be doing better. And it was at that point where I decided, no, I'm going to go on. I'm going to fix up the website. I'm going to start filming people's speeches and they're going to go up on the website after every meeting. They're going to go up on our Facebook. I'm going to start doing podcasts with members so that we can start to get to know each other. And now, I'm definitely not at the top of the learning dip. I've got a long way to go, but I can feel like I'm starting to get there. And I'm getting there as well with the support of the amazing people within my club. So today has been all about play. We've played with mathematics. Play, I really think, isn't just specific to mathematics. Play is what brings joy to us in life. Think about it. When we're happy, we're playing. We're playing with our partner and having a joke. We're playing with our kids. That's what brings us joy. But also Toastmasters. We play with concepts and ideas to make speeches. And once we have those, we play with words to really bring that message home. But I think it goes deeper than that. You see, play also stands for presentation, like I spoke about before. It stands for the leadership that I've got from Toastmasters over the last 12 months, and I'm sure you guys have too. It stands for the importance of audience and thinking about them when we plan out our presentations. And it also stands for saying, yes, I can, even when we think we can't. Thank you.